property or if you can describe the property, if we can kind of go through, if everybody would open to Exhibit E, you can kind of just pull it up, each photograph here and describe what the photograph depicts.
This is the front of the church. The doors here are eaten through. The wood here is bad. We're replacing the doors here. We've been doing our best to take care of the grass area, which grows pretty quickly. We're going to be we're in the middle of getting it landscaped in the front to beautify the property. You can see the bell tower there, obviously with, resemblance of a church. You can see the stained glass windows. You can see the stone sign that's used for signage for the church as well. The next page, you see the cornerstone, which is, God bless you, my friend. The cornerstone, which is a fixture of a church building, which was placed there from 1896.
And that would be on the northwest corner of the property.
Yes, yep, northwest corner.
And the third picture.
Third picture is the rear of the facility. You can see there's debris out there that has been cleaned up, and speaking to some of the neighbors, that's, even right now, that's the cleanest it's looked in years, from what I've heard from some of the neighbors, but obviously that's some of the parking area back there as well. And again, you can see the bell tower and some of the stained glass windows to the sanctuary there. Here's another picture of that, and you can see where the other business is that you were referring to earlier, sir. You can see that there. This here again is like the little space of grass, little area of between the church and the adjacent business. That's the south side of the property. And again, you can clearly see the bell tower and the stained glass windows that are, symbolic of church, religious activity. Here again, this is another picture of the church where you can see the parking lot area, again, off of the alley.
And showing an area where cars could pull straight in off of the alley onto the property.
Yes, exactly, yep. This here is the boundary line between the church and the other boundary property. You can see the well line, where the well is at there as well. And they've been very helpful as well next door. They've been even helping us with mowing the grass and things.
And that's the north side of the property?
That's the north side of the property, yes.
The little black dot, or little rectangle there, about 2/3 of the way down is that
The well?
okay.
Yep, that's the well cap. This is a view from the opposite side of the church, of the same location.
From the front street of the property, from the front property, on the south side.
Yeah, and these vines that you see here coming out of the church, we've already removed those. So those vines have been pulled down, and again, we're trying to re-beautify the property.
And you'll paint the,
And yet, we will be painting the exterior. The exterior will be repainted white, so we will be, we want to beautify the property and take care of the Lord's house. Again, that's an overhead picture of the well cap.
that's further down.
This is the front, and this will all be landscaped. We'll have, landscaping down here, and the hill area will be landscaped as well with stones. That's the front of the property on Front Street. Here again, looking north, you can see the parking alongside of the church there. This is, 11, I'm sorry. Yep, this is photo 11.
That's a view to the north. It shows the parking that goes the whole way out up to
Susquehanna, yep, Avenue. There is the no parking sign showing where parking ends, and that's maybe just about 1 car length from there to Susquehanna Avenue, and that's photo number 11. This is the next photo. Is some of the interior is a picture of the sanctuary. Am I going too fast?
No, not at all.
Go to 13.
Photo 13, this was how the sanctuary looked. There were drapes hung up that were dilapidated. There was carpeting that we pulled out. The hardwood is still there, still intact, and thank God the pews were still intact. But the paint was cracking, the walls were cracking, the paint was cracked. So we've restored much of that. There you see the pews that are fixtures, obviously, of a church, along with the stained glass windows. This is in photo 14, a side view of the sanctuary. Photo 15, you can see a religious picture in the middle of the sanctuary. That's on the wall in the pulpit area.
Is that a painting on the wall?
That's a painting on the wall. Yep, it's a painting. Again, here on 16, you see the interior of the stained glass windows. This is one of the a room there inside the church. They were like bunk beds that were like nailed to the wall in there. We removed all that. The hardest thing was removing stuff. I mean, like there was just so much in there that had to be removed. So there was that in there. That's that. Again, stained glass windows on the next picture. I mean, the place is really, aesthetically, it's a beautiful building. It really is. It just needs a little bit of love. That's all. just needs some love. She'll be all right though. Yeah. This here is the what we would call the office area here, and there was like metal on instead of sheetrock on walls. They were actually like metal. It was heavy, and we had to unscrew all the metal and get rid of that. There were holes in some of the sheetrock we had to get rid of. So that's that back area there. This is a bathroom here in the next picture. Sorry? Photo 19. This is a bathroom. There was a shower, or I guess a bathtub in the middle of the back half after where the sanctuary ends is like another area, and that's where that was. So we removed the tub, obviously. There was no ceiling to the bathroom. It was just bathroom in the middle, so it was there, and we removed the tub. There is some of the unfinished wall to that bathroom in photo 20, and again the same metal sheeting was used there, but again the wall wasn't built to the top. It was just an opening on the top of the bathroom there. That's in photo 20. Photo 21 is the basement area. There's a like full kitchen down there. This is like an open space area, which the floor obviously needs to be painted. The walls need to be repainted. Some of the paint was chipping away there, and then I'll show you the kitchen area, which was we had to gut the whole kitchen. It was not in good condition. There was grease everywhere, and like even some of the metal was deteriorating, so we had to pull all those cabinets out. That's photo 22, yes, sir. That's photo 22 there. There was this is again another picture of the kitchen from the outside window of the kitchen. There was another room on the other side of the kitchen that, I mean, there was like garbage piled up in there to the ceiling, and I had to man up and kind of go in there because nobody else was gonna do it. So I put my big boy pants on that day, and I went in and was able to get that cleaned out. But it was just a mountain of garbage just in there, unfortunately. So, but we cleared that out as well. Yeah, I thought we were gonna draw sticks, but
Didn't get any takers.
no, nobody wanted to,
I think there's photographs accurately depict the condition of the property that it's in, probably with some work that's improved some of that stuff, that there's
Yes.
gonna be
Yeah.
Still more work.
Still more work.
to do to even find approval.
Yeah.
Of the application.
Yeah.
Steve, if you could briefly tell the board what the operations of the church itself is in terms of service, and things of that nature.
Sure. We plan on having typical Sunday service at 11 a.m. We plan on doing a breakfast before that, a free breakfast for the community at 10, just to service the community. Service at 11. We'll do Bible study on Wednesday evenings at 6:30, and those are our fixed ministries there, and then just the church as needed during the course of the week. The church will be utilized.
I don't know if you said there will be a breakfast.
There will be a breakfast, yep. There will be a free community breakfast every Sunday morning that we plan to open up to the community to come in and to eat and just to fellowship and then stay for service if they like.
And aside from the regular operations of the church, are there outreach events or things that you do? And
Yes.
Can you tell the board a little bit about this?
Yes, we have our Harvest Outreach Food Pantry and Clothing Closet every Saturday from 9 to 11. We give out free food and free clothing to the community every Saturday, 9 to 11, rain, sleet, or snow. Sister Selena is there to hand out free food to the community, as well as those that might need clothing. Also, if there's an emergency need during the week, people can call us and we'll meet them there. We'll get them food. Sometimes people get hungry on a Tuesday, so we're there to help them out as well. We also do a seminar where we teach employment skills. We teach how to interview. We teach how to make yourself marketable for jobs. We teach that. We review resumes. We help them write their resumes. We have women on staff that are degreed in HR and in other fields that have made them masters at this, and they sit down and they teach and they train and they develop. We have a young women's ministry that we're working on, a men's ministry that we have in place. We do outreach. We do a book bag drive every August where we collect book bags for children, and we just hand out free book bags to them with school supplies. We also every summer we've done it in North York Borough Park, who we've worked very closely with since we've been there. We do a community cookout where we feed the whole community. Last year I think we fed 150 some odd people. And we do church in the park. We bring out our bounce house. The kids jump on the bounce house. We bring out the snow cones. We bring out water balloons. We put out, people come out and they tell their testimony, and we really engage the community and just be part of the community. We also do, we do a winter coat giveaway. In the place we use now, in December, we open it up sort of like a clothing store. We put all the clothes that we have out. We do a special fundraiser to get coats and jackets, and we kind of hang it out as like a store. So people can come in, and we don't charge, but we let them come in and they can shop as if it was a store. We give away sneakers and boots and clothes and cribs and bed, everything that we've been able to obtain that we haven't. We just kind of like just a mass giveaway to the community. Trying to think what else we do.
You mentioned North York Borough. The Borough Council gave you a letter of recommendation.
Yep.
That's attached to Exhibit G to the.
Yes, Exhibit G.
Or attached to G to the application.
Yeah, we got a letter of recommendation from North York Borough Council. They said they're sad to see us leave because of some of the things we've done in the community. But we have a letter of recommendation from them there. They're the ones that they gave us our bounce house. They donated it to us. We work very closely with them. They gave us an award for our community service towards the end of last year, just for working with the community and engaging the community. And one thing that's been really good is that with us being part of that community, I've become like the community pastor. So people know us. It's very often I'll come to the church and there'll be bags of clothes left outside or bags of non-perishable goods left outside, knowing that people are donating, knowing that we get it to the appropriate people that need it. So we've been very good in our working relationship with that community, and we just like to continue that here. We really want to be part of the community. We want to be an asset, an immediate asset to the community. That church has historic value to it, and we want to restore it. And I believe it was an old Lutheran church, and I believe it was Pastor Ed, I think was his name. That I have to go and I'm still trying to retrieve some of that information, but yeah, we just want to restore it back to its dignity of being a church and being part of the community.
And speaking of that, you have a depiction that we referenced in our application.
Yes.
I guess that's attachment E.
This is just
Yes, this will be attachment E. So again, this will show the church will be painted white, doors will be red, we'll have landscaping in the front.
we want to see it. And pass it
We can
around.
see it.
Yeah.
Do any of the members of the board have any questions? Yeah.
Why are you leaving where you're at now? Why
I
are you
just.
relocating?
Why are we relocating? One, we got an opportunity to own the building where we're at. It's always better to own than to rent. One, so that obviously financial opportunity to own the building. Secondly, it's just more of a facility, more space for us to operate the way we want to, and to be able to enhance the community outreach that we have now. It'll just be more enhanced, and we'll be able to be more efficient in it.
There'd be no residents inside the church, is that correct?
None whatsoever, no. Just the Holy Ghost.
What's the largest crowds you expect to be there?
Say that again, sir?
The largest crowds of people you expect to be there?
We're very small. We only have about 10 to 15 members. I mean, we'd like to grow to, let's say, 100 members, as much as the building can, capacity in the building. But we're a small church. We just really love the Lord, and we love on each other. We're a small community. We don't believe in membership. I call it our community, because the church, members come and go, but community stays forever, and that's what we're about.
So you don't ever expect to meet it says 148 person capacity of the church, of the, I guess, the.
In the sanctuary.
Sanctuary. You wouldn't think you'd ever reach that.
I don't think so. I mean,
I'd like to, but.
I'd like to, but yeah, but I don't think so. And if we ever came close, we would just open up another service and just, maybe have 2 services a day or something to that effect, maybe Saturday evening, or, we make do.
How long did you operate in North York Borough?
About 2.5 years. We actually started in, very first service of the church was in Colonial Manor Nursing Home. That's where we started at. My wife and I do. That's another ministry we do. We do a ministry at Colonial Manor Nursing Home, where we go there once a month, and we minister to the residents there. And that's actually where the church started. We were there we started August 27th of 17, and then November 5th of that year is when we had the first service in the building we're in now.
In North York, what was the size of your congregation in its largest?
Same, about 10 to 15
Same?
members, yes, sir.
Thank you.
And it might be the fishbowl as well. I've talked to other members in the community that are excited about the church building. I've talked to other members, other people, other churches that are in the area down in the borough that are excited. I met with the other pastors. They're excited about it, to lock arms and to work together. I've met other community members that are excited to work together alongside of us. We did last month, we gave out 50 baskets of food, non-perishable goods, standing in front of the church, and we met a lot of the community, just handing out food to the community. We had some signs out and just kind of engaged with the community. People stopped, and we were able to load food in their cars, and during this pandemic, that's you know, if you can't lean on the church in times like these, I don't know what, you know, so we wanted to do our part.
Now, you started in 2017 in this building here, right?
2017,
Yeah.
yes, in North York, yes, sir.
What was it, was it vacant at that point, or what was the last use in that building that you know of?
It was,
Hold on a second.
Right, the-
Talking about-
I'm talking about this, the proposed property here.
oh, the proposed property,
Where you're at, yeah.
It is
The-
vacant.
the South Front Street, yeah, it was vacant.
It was vacant. And do you have any idea how long it was vacant?
My belief is possibly 6 months, if not longer. Just I'm trying to gauge the timelines of. I know another church looked at it like that previous summer, and the people were still living there. And then by the time but the gentleman I purchased it from, I don't believe anybody was living there.
Okay. It was used as a residence primarily? Do you know what its use was before that? Before it was-
From my understanding, it was a church.
Thank you.
From what I know, since 1896, it's been a church, except for those
Couple of years?
5 or 6 or 7 years that,
Mhm.
if it was even that long.
Good.
But it's a church.
Board members, do we have any other questions for the applicant?
I don't have any.
Jeff, did we have any questions that came in?
I have no questions. I'm actually monitoring emails right now, and we have no questions on the email for any testimony. If you'd like, I can check outside and see if anybody's up there.
Sure, please check outside.
And Mr. Chairman, I did check outside. There is nobody out there to testify on behalf of the applicant before or against.
Thank you. Stanley, you didn't have any other questions?
Is there any prospect of you being able to expand your parking? On off-street parking, let's leave it that way. Are you able to acquire or any adjoining properties in order to expand that? Or are you limited to the space you have?
Right now, we're limited to the space. Just being very frank, I spent every last dime I had to acquire that building for the Lord. So as of right now, we don't have that ability.
The adjoining properties aren't available to expand the parking there? That you know of?
I mean, I guess you can see from the photographs to the north, there's really no parking there that I recall. To the south, I mean, there would be a little bit of area that
There's some parking up Susquehanna Avenue there.
Avenue.
There's parking up there. I mean, there's
Okay.
parking down in the borough, but that I could acquire as of right now.
No. Okay, thank you.
Are you gonna have any lighting in the parking lot at all?
Yes, we will have lighting. We will have security lights in there as well. So it will be secure.
But at this time, you wouldn't have to expand your parking lot at all.
Not with the
only
10 members, no, and their families.
And that would be down the road,
Exactly.
possibly.
Exactly.
So you're virtually not gonna change the appearance of this building, other than aesthetic wise, right?
Just beautifying the property.
Yeah, you're not changing the landscape, the
Floor
parking,
plan or-
no.
No, just
All
to
gonna be
beautify
set.
it.
Just cleaned up and.
We have no further questions, so is there a motion?
I see no reason not to make a motion to approve.
So we have a motion to approve docket 20-03.
Two.
I'm sorry, 20-02, my apologies.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Any conditions?
I think the conditions are pretty much written out here with all the minimum requirements that you don't meet.
Thank you.
So down the road, they would have to meet those
Okay.
or not ask for that, correct?
Do we have a second?
I did second it.
Oh, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Hearing none, the motion passes.
A written decision will be prepared in accordance with the MPC. The board will execute that. If there happens to be a meeting next month, then the board will probably sign that here and it would be issued. I don't know that we have anything scheduled at this point. If there isn't, then of course the 45 days applies and a written decision will be sent by board and it'll be sent out to you. So you'll receive that within that time period. Okay?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Bless
you.
all. Thank you.
In the interim, for anything you need, you see Jeff, and he'll take care of you going forward,
Thank you.
permits and such like that.
You want this to be the record?
We do want to have it for the record. Jeff, you can hold on to that one if you like. That was Exhibit E, so you can put it with the file you have.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you all.
Thank you.
God bless you guys.
Goes
God
with the
bless you.
application. Thank you very much.
Good luck with the community and
Thank you very much.
Huh? Oh, yeah, we're there.
Good night, guys. Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Just have to wait for him to motion where you're
I
not
know
gonna
you're
do.
eager to have a meeting. If you really want to, it doesn't hurt. Show patriotism.
Maybe it didn't show the first one. You think
That's
it's-
true.
That's probably what happened, yeah.
Since we missed the first pledge of allegiance, would you please stand for the pledge of allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We will now hear docket 20-03, GLC Newberry LLC, 18201 Von Carmen Avenue, Suite 1170, Irvine, California, 92612. Applicant is seeking a variance from section 512.4.A.6 of the zoning ordinance to reduce the required minimum access aisle widths of 75 feet in a truck and trailer parking area to 65 feet upon expansion of proposed building number 1. The property is located in the mixed-use zone of Robin Hood Drive and adjoins the southern end of Goodman Drive to the north, Potts Hill Road to the south, and Interstate 83 to the east, and is known as tax map QG parcel 149A. Mr. Martz, you were already sworn in. Was this posted?
This was posted, it was actually advertised on May 4th in the New York newspaper. The advertisement was amended and advertised on May 7th and 18th in the New York newspaper. And the amendment was to give a better description of the location, which you had just read. And it was also posted on our township website as well as the door.
Thank you. Is there any other additional information?
There is none.
Thank you. Anyone to give testimony for or against, would you please rise and raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. If you could just please give your name and address
Sure.
for the record.
My name's Charlie Courtney with McNeese, Wallace & Merrick, 100 Pine Street, Harrisburg. With me tonight are Brian Kovalarczyk with GLC Newberry and Ron Sakari with Snyder Sakari and Associates. So GLC Newberry has obtained final land development plan approvals for 2 industrial buildings on the property. And as you've probably seen, a lot of the infrastructure has been put in place, the roads, including the realignment of Yorktown Road, utilities, stormwater management facilities. And so where the buildings would be, there's existing pads that are pretty much ready. GLC Newberry has tenants for the building, and construction is going to begin in the near future. The tenant for building number 1 would like to widen the building, expand the eastern and western sides of that building, essentially push it out 10 feet each side, so a total of 20 feet. And so we've evaluated kind of what's the best approach. One approach simply would be to expand the development footprint, expand the paving by the additional 10 feet on each side or 20 feet. Obviously, that would have more disturbance, more impervious coverage, more stormwater runoff, more impacts to natural features, a reduction in green space. And so, but there's another option where we would simply work within the disturbance area and the paving footprint that is already part of the approved plans. And we can do that because the zoning ordinance requires 75 feet for these aisle widths in the truck courts. We're reducing it, we're proposing to reduce it to 65 feet. 65 feet is actually the industry standard, and Ron will talk about that. So we have an option here. It's kind of unique because the drive aisles were more or less over-designed from an industry standard standpoint because of the ordinance requirement. And so we have the ability now to kind of limit the overall disturbance impact. So rather than kind of pushing the development out, staying within the approved limits and thereby reducing impervious coverage, reducing impacts to natural features, reducing stormwater runoff, et cetera. So what we'd like to do tonight is hopefully just have one witness, Ron Sakari, will walk through the site plans and then be ready to answer any questions that you might have. Just from housekeeping purposes, Exhibit A1 is what we've marked as Exhibit 1 is the transmittal letter dated April 3, 2020, the application form and the narrative. You already have that. Exhibit A2 is the variance plan dated March 31, 2020. You already have that as well. We'll be working from that. And we provided this evening an additional exhibit, Exhibit A3, which is essentially that same as Exhibit 2, except we added some truck turning templates, so you can see how trucks would maneuver within the truck court. So Ron will walk through that. So with that, I'll call Ron up here. You've been sworn, Ron? Just so we're playing straight, name and address for the record.
My name is Ron Sakari. Address is 2000 Linglestown Road, Harrisburg, PA.
Okay. And who are you employed by?
Snyder Sakari and Associates, where I'm a principal and partner.
Are you a Pennsylvania registered professional engineer?
I am.
How long?
25 years.
And what's your role in the project?
Project manager.
Okay. You participated in the design of the variance plans that are before the board this evening?
I do.
Okay. So I want to identify what we have up on the board here, which is Exhibit A2. That exhibit's already been provided to the board. Now, Ron, final land development plans for the buildings and the site improvements that are depicted on Exhibit A2 generally have been approved by the township, correct?
That's correct.
And so the only difference between the approved final plans and what is shown on Exhibit A2 and A3 for that matter are building number 1 being widened on the eastern and western sides by 10 feet each side, and a corresponding reduction in the aisle in the truck court from 75 feet to 65 feet.
That's correct.
So this would Exhibit A2 would reflect proposed conditions that if the variance were granted.
It does.
Okay. So if you could just walk the board through Exhibit A2.
All right, again, just for reference, at what would be the plan north, actually east, is I-83. You can see the end of Goodman Drive, which provides the access into the site. On the right side of the plan, or southern side, would be Potts Hill Road. And realigned Yorktown Road is up in this quadrant, which then again connects to 83. So that kind of gives you a feel for, I'm sure you all know where the site is, but again, reorients you to this particular plan. And as Charlie mentioned, this plan depicts what was approved in the land development process, and also a plan that was approved last year for additional trailer storage parking through a subdivision of the Windermere Heights Evangelical Church property to the north. As I mentioned, principal access is off of Goodman Drive. There's a center access aisle that bisects Building 1 and Building 2, from which there are various points of access then and circulation around the buildings. The car parking is located on on the short sides of both buildings, number 1 and number 2, with cross dock, meaning docks on both sides of both buildings, 1 and 2, on the east and west sides of the buildings.
Ron, how about natural features?
Natural features is, the property itself contained wetlands and water courses, which we went through a permitting process, joint permitting process with the Army Corps of Engineers and also with DEP. Ones that would be impacted in this particular scenario, there's a wetland in this location, which explains the bowed configuration. There's actually a retaining wall that we're surrounding that wetland with to protect it. We have a stormwater BMP located in this location, and there's a small drainage way slash intermittent stream that's over on the southern side of building number one.
And steep slopes?
Steep slopes, there are steep slopes located adjacent to 83 on the eastern side of our building, and also some on the northern side.
Okay, and just for the record, did you identify the building square footages?
We did.
You did?
We did.
Did I miss that?
Oh, did I thought you meant the plan. The plan currently shows 1,137,389 square feet for building one, and building two is 732,000 square feet. That's as it was approved. The original approval for building number one is for 1,104,289, so that's about 33,000 square feet additional in this building should we expand it by the 20 feet that Charlie alluded to.
Okay. So now let's zero in on the truck courts, because that's what this application is about. So section 512-4A6 of the zoning ordinance requires the aisle within truck courts to be 75 feet wide, correct?
It does.
Now, just so we're all clear, when we say truck court, what are we talking about, just for example, in building one on the north side? The northern limits are trailer spaces, correct?
That's correct.
Then the area that's shaded in gray would be the aisle area, correct?
That's correct.
And then the area that's below, adjoining the shaded area, and next to the building are basically the loading spaces, correct?
The dock apron, that's correct.
And the ordinance requires the trailer spaces and the spaces at the building to be 60 feet long, correct?
It does.
And that's what the plan is designed to, correct?
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about the 75-foot requirement under the ordinance. Now, when you design plans, how many warehousing plans have you put together over the years?
I can't begin to count, but I'm sure it's probably in the hundreds. Our firm does quite a lot of that work. I've personally done quite a lot of that work. So, yeah, quite a bit of them.
Is it, in your experience in reviewing, and when you put plans together, you're reviewing ordinances, correct?
We are.
Do you typically see the width of the aisle within truck courts regulated?
No, and we do work throughout the state of Pennsylvania and surrounding states, and this is the first time I've personally seen an ordinance that regulated the sizes of truck courts.
No, nonetheless it does, and that's why we're here this evening. But if there's not an ordinance requirement, then what are you designing all of these plans?
We typically default to a 185-foot truck court, which would again be the 260-foot, the dock apron 60-foot, the trailer storage 60-foot, and a 65-foot access aisle in between them.
So the difference between what the township's ordinance requires and what you would design to from an industry standpoint is a 65-foot aisle versus a 75-foot aisle width, correct?
Yes.
And why is that an industry standard?
Because it allows the maneuverability that's necessary to get in and out of the dock positions, to circulate around the buildings, and also to give adequate space for trailer storage once they've unloaded.
And is it fair to say that, the 65-foot aisle standard is something that provides for more than adequate maneuverability, but also, tries to limit the amount of impervious coverage?
It does. I mean, we've designed a lot of these. There's a lot of them out there in the marketplace, all operating, very well with just those kind of dimensions at the 185-foot.
All right, now I'm going to flip this over and show you what we've marked as Exhibit A3. So this is the exact same site plan except for one difference, right? It's the same plan that is A2, correct?
It is.
And so what you've added to this plan on the northern and, or the eastern and western sides of the building one are truck turning templates, correct?
We've employed software known as AutoTurn that allows us to model any kind of vehicle and its turning movements based on the wheel radius and the tracking of the wheels. It's typically very conservative. I mean, truck drivers more often than not do much better than what this shows, but we do use this as a guide in our design efforts just to make sure that we have adequate maneuverability through a site.
And could you just kind of describe what this is showing?
Yeah, what this is showing is a truck coming in and coming out to a dock position, we just randomly picked any position along the building. And it shows the turning radius that would be required to come in and come out of that spot. And it shows that it doesn't, even in this very conservative approach, does not encroach, using a 65-foot aisle, does not encroach on the trailer storage area that's adjacent to it.
So, and just so we're clear, when you say that the auto turn, truck turning templates are conservative, you mean that they typically show a pattern that's wider than you would typically see in the field?
Absolutely.
And so even with the conservative truck turning movements, that's staying well within the 65-foot aisle, correct?
It is.
So let's talk about options. So the tenant for building number one would like, plans to expand that building by, when it's constructed, make it 20 feet wider, 10 feet on either side. So one option is simply to make the whole site footprint, development footprint, paving footprint larger than what it is today under approved plans.
It would be.
And what would be the consequences to that?
Well, obviously, it would result in a shift in the paving line that's established. So you're going to have additional impervious coverage. You're going to have more stormwater runoff, probably in the vicinity of an acre more. More disturbance to avoid those sensitive features that I mentioned in the beginning. We're going to have to employ retaining walls, and then some of the retaining walls that we already had designed will get larger. So while it can be done, it certainly begins to encroach in some of those more sensitive areas.
Okay, what would you estimate if you were to compare the cost of constructing the project with the variance, meaning you're staying within the existing approved disturbance area versus not having a variance and having to push that footprint out? Just a ballpark.
I would say something in the vicinity of about $350,000.
And that's probably conservative?
I would think so.
Okay. All right, so that's one option. And so walk us through the benefits of the option that this application contemplates.
Well, obviously, this option would allow us to have a static condition in that our outer footprint of disturbance would remain the same as it is now. So all that work that's been done, the site work that's been done already out there would remain. Our disturbance envelope would stay the same, so no additional impervious, no additional stormwater runoff generated, no more impacts to sensitive areas surrounding that part of the site would be realized. So
No reduction in green space?
No reduction in green space.
And so this approach essentially takes advantage of an over-design in the aisle width from an industry standard standpoint.
It does.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the variance that's requested. Is a unique physical circumstance of this property that is significantly constrained by natural features, which essentially pushes the development portion and limits the development portion within the northern portion of the site.
And just as I already mentioned, these are natural occurring environmental features that ring us on the north side. So the hardship would be that obviously we're seeking to not disturb those or endanger those. So that is the unique circumstance that presents itself adjacent to this building that causes us to want to seek this relief.
Okay, so you mentioned hardship, so let's kind of focus on that. I'm just going off script a little bit from a question and answer standpoint. I'm sure the board's familiar with Hertzberg. It's the case in the late 90s, Pennsylvania Supreme Court, where they said, look, where your use is allowed and you're simply seeking a reasonable adjustment of a dimensional standard, it's a dimensional variance, and the court actually, imposed a lesser standard, a lesser quantum of proof is required for a hardship. It's a different type of hardship, a financial hardship normally isn't a hardship in a use variance standpoint, but in a dimensional variance standpoint, it can be sufficient. The things that you look at are the cost of bringing the property into compliance with the ordinance. You look at the economic detriment if the variance is denied. You look at the compatibility of, or the impact of the variance on the character of the neighborhood. That's just a little context for some of the questions I'm gonna ask Ron. So you mentioned, so let's talk, when we talk about hardship, you know, the building clearly can be expanded, but this is a question of how it can be expanded and expanded in a way that has the least amount of impact, correct?
That's correct.
And so one hardship that we're talking about here is, you know, you mentioned, well, if we were going to comply with the 75-foot or continue to comply with the 75-foot aisle width, we've got to push out the development footprint, push out the paving footprint. Modifications to stormwater facilities would be required, modifications to retaining walls, increased impact to natural features, all of which are possible and permitted, but it comes at an additional cost, right?
Correct.
And that cost you estimated at somewhere north of $350,000.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, now let's also talk, now that's kind of the strict Hertzberg type hardship, but in addition, what other hardship is there from an impact standpoint? I mean, isn't there also, I mean, if you're looking at kind of big picture hardship, and again, it might not be kind of Hertzberg hardship, but big picture, you're having, you're making, you're expanding that footprint and having more impact on stormwater runoff and downstream properties.
Yeah, all the things that I alluded to earlier, you know, all that additional paving is going to require, or is going to produce stormwater runoff, which we then have to modify our storm sewer system, and particularly our BMPs that were designed specifically to handle what was contemplated. Those all have to be revamped in order to continue to comply with township and state criteria.
In your opinion, will the variance, if granted, substantially injure or detract from use of neighboring property or the character of the neighborhood?
No, it would not.
And I mean, is it fair to say that we're really talking about a reduction in an aisle that's within a wholly private truckboard area?
That's exactly correct.
So nobody would ever know or see the difference?
That's correct.
Okay. Did the applicant create a hardship?
They did not.
Is the requested variance the minimum variance that will afford relief to the applicant?
We believe it is.
Sort of all the questions.
It was very well covered. I'm having a hard time coming up with an additional question. So in a nutshell, basically, to keep everything as minimal disturbance, you're not increasing runoff, you're not increasing the size of the footprint, you're not going to be disturbing anything else. What's there and already has been done will stay the same. The only thing that changes is the width of an aisle. That, again, I think the most important point is if it wasn't to your advantage, you wouldn't do it because you wouldn't be able to use the facility.
That's correct.
You're increasing the size of the building some, right?
Yeah, increasing the size of the building 20 feet, reducing the collective aisle width by 20 feet. You know, and you could also look at it just from a real estate tax standpoint. You're trading, you know, paving area for building area, which from a real estate tax standpoint, you know, creates more revenue.
The aisle width changes only around building 1.
Correct.
That was the other question that came up in my head as they were talking.
What are the size of the trucks that will be on site, the trailers, approximately?
Well, they can vary,
Uh-huh.
depending on where they come from. There'll be WB 67s, which are 67-footers, and also probably 63s. I would imagine those will be the size trucks that.
Most common?
Yeah, the ones that you see over the road on the highway.
So with the 67-foot trailers, won't they encroach upon your?
Well, they only park the trailer in the storage area, they don't park the cab, so. it's
So they'll
much-
drop
it's-
the trailer and-
It's much shorter than that, yes.
And the cab would then be parked in the sites, looks like parking areas off to the west, I guess, is on the left side of the page. We're talking down here, or in parking areas also around the building?
Well, the cabs themselves will probably, once they drop their load, they'll probably leave or
Oh, okay.
Get another load, but, so they won't be parked on site, but the trailers can be stored either, as we indicated, on the edges of this or in this auxiliary trailer storage area that was approved by the township last year.
And I think you said you hadn't run into any other township which actually regulates the width of the,
In all my years of doing this work, and we do a lot of industrial warehouse work, I have never seen a municipality that regulated the internal private truck courts on a property.
probably because they assume that you know what you're doing. I would think.
I hope so.
Defeats the purpose of business if they can't turn around and exit.
Exactly. They need this
You've
to
got a
operate
nice,
correctly.
beautiful, big building that you really can't use for much. So, the building itself is just one-story building, or 1.5?
I mean, it's a clear span, so yeah, there's only occupancy in one story.
Okay. Is a modification of the approved land development subdivision plans going to be necessary for the additional 10 feet on the other side of the building?
I think that's a question for Jeff. Again, I don't think we've impacted the stormwater or anything else, so I would doubt that would rise to a land development approval.
It would not.
Thank you.
Do the board members have any other questions?
No, I don't.
How many doors you gonna have on each side? About 150?
How many dock doors?
Yeah.
Brian, do you know what the count is? I'm not sure at this point.
Currently, we have it laid out as 1 for 10,000. We do have the ability to knock outs to do additional door spaces if necessary, but right now, proposing it's about 110.
That's a lot of doors.
Is that for building number 1?
Yes, sir.
I was just asking that question. That doesn't have to do with this. It's just curious.
But that's on both sides, right? I mean, that's total.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Total?
Total.
Huh.
It's not all on one side.
So you'll have wider truck lanes
Yeah.
then,
Mhm.
and it's only your problem anyway, so. Unless I have to get one of them out.
Jeff, were there any online questions?
I received no emails regarding any questions on this or Docket. I will check outside, see if there's anybody out.
Thank you.
I take it you would agree that the reduction in the truck aisle to 65 feet would not result in any impairment of any other type of emergency vehicle access on or about the property in time of need?
Absolutely not.
That was just a curious question.
I should know.
You were close.
But then there were knockouts.
Mr. Chairman, I did check outside. There is nobody out there that wishes to testify, and I still have not received any emails.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the board? Stanley?
No, sir.
Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve docket 20-03.
Do we have any discussion?
So that'd be as presented with aisle widths no less than 65 feet, is that right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
On building number 1.
Building number 1. Having a second and no discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Hearing none, the motion is approved.
A written decision will be prepared in accordance with the MPC and issued within 45 days. You'll get that in the mail. If there happens to be a meeting, next month, another hearing, then typically the board will sign those and issue them right after that hearing. So between 30 and 45 days, you'll have that.
I apologize, there was not a second. Do we have a second?
Oh,
I'll second.
I thought there was also.
then Terry, take the vote, please.
Yes. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
There you
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion is passed.
go. All right.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for getting together today and for time.
You are welcome.
You can see Jeff for any